I am Tristan Manzolini. I have been homeschooling or home educating for 14 years now. Um, it is the simultaneously most beautiful and most difficult thing I have done in life. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm now doing this as a single mom with my three kids. So homeschooling, working full time, in school full time, and it's been a ride.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you originally started down the path, because you probably would describe yourself as an unschooler more than a
Yes.
traditional homeschooler. But talk a little bit about how you first started down this path, and where you drew information and resources from.
Yeah, so I initially started with the home education thing as sort of an extension of attachment parenting. When my oldest was probably, 2 or 3, and we were kind of thinking about preschool, I was like, no, I don't think that's not it for us. So I started looking into homeschooling, and I was a little bit more traditionally focused in the beginning. I was paying a lot of attention and doing a lot of hands-on stuff, and I realized that he was learning an awful lot without us doing anything other than just living. And then the more kids I had, the more I saw that being sort of the path that made the most sense. I had tried doing more traditional lessons, and it didn't work for us at all. Sitting down, forcing learning, out of context was not something that my kids enjoyed even a little bit. So the unschooling thing really fell naturally, as, I witnessed them taking their interest, learning by doing, and just exploring the world around them, seeing, the way that so many things came together without me even really interjecting at all. I would say all three of my kids have some sort of neurodivergence. I don't think a single one of us has a neurotypical brain. So it's a lot of flexibility. My most challenging neurospicy kid is one of the reasons we ended up staying with unschooling, because he actually has oppositional defiant disorder. So asking him to do something he really doesn't want to do doesn't work for any of us. It's really beautiful to be able to give him the space to learn in a way that works best for him. He's very mechanical. He likes to know how everything works. The kid is brilliant. When he was, just a few years old, he really wanted to blow up a balloon, but he couldn't blow up the balloon because, it takes a lot of muscle to blow up the balloon. And he just like toddled away and came back with a bike pump. And he's
Oh,
like, I'm going to use this bike pump to blow up this balloon. And I could like see he's quiet and he's focused, and the balloon didn't fit on the whatever that part of the pump is. So then he just walks away and comes back with a little like construction cone from a toy set he had, put it on the end, got the balloon on, and I just watched him in complete amazement. Like, he is brilliant in problem solving and looking outside, the norms, and um that that kind of problem solving is great in life, but it's not so great when somebody is dictating how you're supposed to be learning. So in that way, I've really let him take the lead. Both of my boys were late readers. He turned 10 in December and just started reading pretty well all on his own. But he was interested in other things, and we just had to follow those interests. He knows about plumbing, he knows about construction, he's got his own tool set. So it's a lot of working with his interests and abilities.
that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And a handy guy to have around the house, I bet, too,
Very
right?
handy. Yes. Yeah.
So as you're talking, one of the things that occurs to me is that, every parent worries about like how and what I'm doing now for their education going to set them up for a successful future, however you define that. Now that your oldest are entering their teenage years, what are you thinking about how their unschooling experience has prepared them for whatever comes next?
It's interesting because this is something that I think we all have some level of anxiety around, no matter how much we believe in the process. Um, all parents feel like they're doing the wrong thing at some point. And I had a lot of anxiety around this until I started attending college myself again. And I was like, this system is broken just as much as, the elementary years. And um, it's he's gonna be okay. And, I think the skills that they learn being home and engaging in life instead of engaging in, basically authoritarianism. It gives them the autonomy to explore and it gives them the autonomy to really know who they are. So once he turns, college age, it doesn't he'll be able to do so many things outside of just sitting in a classroom, which I think will serve him in so many ways, all of them. It is still nerve-wracking, but the science says, I can't remember the exact statistics, but at some point I read an article about how quickly the job market changes. And it's something like 80% of jobs that will exist in 10 years don't exist right now. So unless we're teaching our kids how to learn and how to grow and how to expand their knowledge, they're not going to be equipped regardless of what they decide to do when they turn 18 or 20 or 25. Um, so I feel like their ability as unschoolers to like explore things they're interested in and understand how to learn, that's going to get them further than any traditional type of schooling.
Excellent. Are any of them making noises about wanting to go to college just out of curiosity? I didn't think so.
No, no,
It's a
they
generational thing anyway. They're all like, no, college costs too much, don't want to go in debt, not
yeah.
interested, not going to do it. Yeah.
And it's funny because they'll say to me like, "Mom, why are you in college?" And I'm like, "Because sometimes we have to play the game to get to where we're going." And
Yeah.
that is part of it. Sometimes we're stuck within society's constraints, and that's okay. Sometimes we have to just swallow our pride a little bit and go back to school.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, what is your vision for your own future once you finish this degree? What do you hope to be doing, either with it or in spite of it?
Well, I went back to school for psychology, and part of what I would love to do is somehow change the way that adults view children.
Ah,
A lot of kids end up in therapy, but really the parents should be in therapy. Learning how to parent in a way that isn't making their kids feel less than. That extends to school systems, that extends to custody battles, that extends to like any situation where a kid is being where the decisions are being made for them and they have no say. There needs to be some developmental understanding, and there generally isn't. Um, that's big picture. Small
mm,
picture is more like support for homeschooling families, for alternative education in general. And again, educating parents on respectful parenting because we've got a lot of angry teens. Mental health is increasing. The system is broken. And the solutions are how do we get more mental health services in schools, not how do we fix the schools that are clearly broken?